Well, I'm not sure if I'm live yet. Let's see here. All right, looking for myself. Hello. Well, if I'm live, hello everyone. Welcome to Whiskey Whistle Live. This is another impromptu event here. I wanted to share a special occasion with you. And I don't think I'm quite live yet. Let me have a look here. Live streaming. Am I live or am I not live? And the answer is, oh, I think I am live. Well, why can't I see? Let's see here. Well, it says offline. Hang on a second here. Am I live? Well, it says I'm live. You just saw my funny shorts. Okay, let me try to find myself here. Go over to YouTube. I guess I'll wait until a few people join in. Well, I wanted to share with you a very special event here. As many of you know, I recently went to Japan. Came back just a few days ago, and I brought home lots of goodies. I went to the Yamazaki Distillery, and I got to take the tour to try a whole bunch of different Yamazaki single malt whiskeys, and even some new make. And I brought back home, well, the Distillery Exclusive. Why can't I see this? Videos. Come on, I want to see myself. Oh, there we are. Okay. So that's a little weird watching myself on camera, on YouTube, on a different. I'm using my iPad to watch myself here on the channel to see what's going on. Nobody's joined in yet. That's okay. And looking for what else do we get here? Streamed 2 minutes ago. Okay, well I'm streaming. Good. Okay, so now I've got a few things going on here. As you can see, I have a glass full of ice, which I've got to pour out a bit of the water from now. There we go. And, well, we're going to do a few things. One of the coolest bottles I brought back is this very interesting bottle from the Fuji Gotemba Distillery. The Fuji Gotemba Distillery. Where are we? Here we are. You can have a look at that one. This is 50% ABV. It's unchill filtered, and well, is it a blended whiskey? Let's call it a single distillery whiskey, single distillery Japanese whiskey. And what they've done is they've taken single malt that has been distilled at the distillery with some different styles of whiskey, not necessarily single malt, also distilled at the same distillery using a variety of processes similar to that of bourbon, that of Canadian whiskey, and that of Scotch grain whiskey. So anyway, very powerful scent coming out of this little bottle. Well, it's a full-size bottle anyway. But what I want to show you is one of the coolest things I learned in I was about to say Scotland, in Japan, is how to make a highball. So I've got my glass full of ice here, and we're going to pour in a nice amount. Well, maybe a little bit more yet. Now, personally, I like my highballs pretty strong. Kind of like I like my women. Okay, that was uncalled for. All right, and I need another hand here. Hang on a second. Let's close that one up. And again, this is it's called Kirin whiskey, Fuji Sanroku, Fuji Sanroku. So I guess a mountain. Well, the Mount Fuji, but I think it's from it's meant to emulate the foothills of the mountain. Get that back there. Oh man, that's a reach. And then, well, we got to stir it up a little bit. Getting ahead of myself here. So we want to stir it fairly vigorously. Well, that's kind of hard with this non-standard glass. I'm using a beer glass, a very nice beer glass from Grolsch. Anyway, get that stirred up. Maybe I'll shake it up a little bit. Okay. And, whoops, lost some of my whiskey. That's okay. There's 2 people watching now. Thanks for joining in. Can't quite see the feed yet. No, I can't. I'm trying to use my better camera, so I can't see what you're saying just yet. So let me try to figure that out first. Alright, and then to that we add some club soda, or in this case, sparkling water. This is something available in Korea. Notice that the label says Seagrams, so that's pretty funny. Alright, so we're going to pour that in. And then we want to give it another gentle stir. And yes, I did lick this, but I'm drinking it, so that's okay. If I were doing this in a bar, I certainly wouldn't be licking the stir stick. There we go. Alright, now some people like to add lemon. I prefer no lemon at all. So this is the Whiskey Whistle, the first Whiskey Whistle Highball here on the channel. This is the Fuji Sanroku Highball. Let's give that a taste, eh? Now, one of the things that's really important is to get it as cold as possible. And big vanilla flavors coming from this relatively new Japanese whiskey. Malty. I dare say even a little bit of chocolate. Anyway, so there we are. So it's kind of a sudden trip for me going over to Japan last week. I left on Tuesday. I booked the trip about a week prior and came back on Friday. So 3 nights, 4 days, as we say in Korea, or I don't know, what do we? I don't even know what we say in Canada anymore. 4 days and 3 nights. Anyway, something like that. Stayed in just a regular, sort of an average quality kind of a hotel. Very nice, very new, so everything was very clean. Very nice. It's called, I think, well, what is it called? I want to say APA, something like that. Very interesting place. And right close to Namba, which is a popular part of Osaka, near the sort of the cool shopping, walking streets. Anyway, very fun. If you saw my other few live whiskey reviews, those were done right there nearby. Alright, so that's the Highball. Highly recommended, especially for the summer. Adjust the amount of whiskey to your own tastes. If you like a stronger taste, we'll obviously add more. If you'd like something a little bit more refreshing and something that you can probably have at a lunch hour and go back to work, yes you can, then go for just a single shot. Now I've got another few things here. Next up we have Evan Williams, 12 years old, 101 proof. That's that one right there. And then following that one, really happy. This is very interesting. Now, for the Wild Turkey fans out there, look at this label. This is a new label. This is the new design. It's got the new turkey on it. All right, and yet it still says 8 years old. So it looks like for the Japanese market, they've kept the 8-year-old age statement. And, well, obviously the whiskey in the bottle is also 8 years old, so they've kept that for the Japanese market. How lucky are they? So, interesting. So that's the very next one here. These are both 101. We've got 12 years old Evan Williams here on my right, and 8 years old Wild Turkey 101 on my left. There's something a little bit meatier about the Wild Turkey, and a little bit more floral with the Evan Williams. And I'm afraid I still have no idea what you're saying just yet. Let me try to rectify the situation here. Why can't I see this? Come on now. Okay. Well, oh, there we are. Okay, I think I got it. Yes. Okay. Choski Review says, hey back. Welcome. Thanks for joining. All right. So Evan Williams, 12 years old, 101 proof, 50.5% ABV here on my right. That's this arm. And Wild Turkey, 8 years old, 101 proof, 50.5% ABV on my left. I dare say the Evan Williams uses a higher... that's true. However, Choski's saying that the Wild Turkey 101 is a blend of 6 to 8 year old whiskeys. That's true for the 101. This is for the Japanese market. I just bought this in Japan. And this is brand new product. It's got the new label on it with the new turkey. And they still get the 8 years old over there in Japan. And a very good price. Much less expensive than in Korea if that's where you are. So take a trip over to Japan and bring yourself home a big bottle. I should have bought a big bottle. I don't know why I didn't. But anyway, get yourself a nice bottle of Wild Turkey, 8 years old in Japan. Yes, 50.5%. It's 101 proof. Okay, the same proof. I'll bring it nice and close so you can see that. Try and angle it upwards. Come on now. There we are. Yeah, you can see that now, right? Back it up a little bit, Mark. The feed I'm watching is a little bit delayed from what I'm doing, so... yes, that's right. And this is how 101 was formerly, until I think about maybe 6 odd years ago. So if you look carefully, you may find some of the older Wild Turkey 8-year-old still available wherever you are. That's crazy says, from Japan, I'm not bringing back bourbon. So, well, okay, now listen, yeah, if you're not a big bourbon fan, I can understand that. However, they get a nice selection of bourbon and the prices are good. Of course, if you're American, yeah, you have no reason to get bourbon if you're in Japan. But what should I say? I brought home a buttload of whiskey. Well, there's another story. I did get tagged, actually. My bag had a lock on it. I had to go talk to the customs officer and plead my case. And I came out with, yes, Japanese whiskey. I hear you, Japanese whiskey all the way. Anyway, I came out relatively unscathed to the tune of a $70 fine. So, anyway. All right, let's try this one. I didn't try it yet. No, I didn't. I have to say that Wild Turkey suits my palates to the T. This is the same 101 I remember, although it's a little bit oilier than the 101 I tried, which was not the 8 years old. It was not the present form of 101, not the previous form of 101, but the one before that. All right. Makes sense that Mark Wood says, yes, since I'm living... Right, exactly. I'm living in Korea. Bourbon is hard to come by here. You can get bottled and bond in Japan. You can't get bottled and bond in Korea. And I could have gotten the Evan Williams bottled and bond, but I went for the 101 proof 12-year-old, which was about $10 more. I thought that was a good buy. Someone said, hello, I missed that. That was someone with an N. Hello back. All right, so we're going to put those two away. Florals with the Evan Williams. And you do get some very strong wood influence. And the Wild Turkey 8-year-old. A little more straight up standard bourbon, and I do think that the Evan Williams has a higher rye content. Maybe someone who's watching knows that. If you do, just leave it in a comment, please. All right, next up, we'll take a little Canadian break. I'm from Canada. Just saw the EW red label, Kentucky only. Kentucky only, does that mean it's available in Kentucky only? I'm not sure what you mean by Kentucky only. This says distilled in Kentucky, bottled by Old Evan Williams Distillery, Bardstown, Kentucky, blah, blah, blah. So please clarify. Anyway, on to Wiser's, a very old, 18-year-old, a Canadian rye. We call it rye. There may not be all that much rye content when we call Canadian whiskey rye. In fact, there may not actually be any Canadian or any rye content whatsoever. Rye has simply become the blanket term for all Canadian whiskeys, at least up until, let's say, 20 years ago when the Glen Breton, the Glenora distillery, I think Glenora, is that right? Glen Breton is the brand. Glen Breton began producing Canadian single malt 20 years ago. There might have been a few other slightly different whiskeys, but have you had any Korean whiskey? You're okay, so you are Korean. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. All right, so sure, I've had lots of Korean market whiskey. There is no homegrown Korean whiskey just yet. So it is imported from Scotland or wherever, from America or Canada, and then it's repackaged with a brand name. And I've got one right there. Should I get up and get it? I'll get up and get it. Hope I don't knock anything down. All right, there we go. Okay, you see my funny shorts yet one more time. Wasn't planning on showing you my shorts. Okay, so right, so here is Pernod Ricard Imperial. This is basically it would be called something. I guess it's something similar to Chivas Regal. Now this is the NAS. It's a lower price point. Nice, pretty nice whiskey though. Anyway, so yeah, this is a Korean market only Scotch whiskey. There's also Canadian whiskey now on the market. One is called Green Jacket by William Grant and Sons. There is on occasion bourbon, but I don't think there's presently any bourbon being repackaged and sold under a Korean label at present. Anyway, all right, back to the Canadian whiskey. Wiser's Deluxe 18-year-old. Now this certainly does have some rye. I'm not sure how much. I would use my nose and say that there's about 20 to 30% rye content, but I have no idea. And I'm sure someone else does. But what you get with Canadian whiskey is a lot of caramel, a lot of sweetness, fairly down the middle in terms of the palate, so everyone can enjoy it. Pardon me. And then you get this just little another one. Excuse me. I usually edit that out when I'm not doing this live. And then you get this little pang of rye spiciness, minty kind of imagine a bowl of dusty rye grain, or a winter wheat even. Sometimes winter wheat is used. All right. What I like about this, someone said, Kurayoshi. Is this some Korean whiskey? Now, I'm aware of a brand called Highball that barrels its soju for 5 years or more. So it's essentially, truthfully, it's actually whiskey, but they just don't call it so. Could you tell me more about that? I missed your comment, so let me know what you know about that particular brand. Okay? All right. Right, now, for those of you who've never tried Canadian whiskey, and I think there are lots, because right now the market tendency is towards Scotch whiskey, Japanese whiskey, Taiwanese whiskey, Indian whiskey, Even Swedish whiskey is more popular than, and Danish whiskey is more popular than Canadian for the whiskey lovers. But something that would be, I think, interesting. Oh, here we go. Kurayoshi is from the Matsui Distillery in Japan. It's whiskey bought in Scotland and then shipped to. Okay, I can read that now. And then shipped to Matsui for maturation. Unfortunately, it's not so good. Okay, so this is matured in Korea. All right. Well, let me know. I'd sure like to know more about that. You can send me a Twitter message or Facebook, my Facebook page at Whiskey Whistle, WHISKY WHISTLE. I'd love to know more about that. I'm very interested in what you're telling me. Choski. No, it's matured in Japan. Okay, well, anyway, all the same, please let me know. Okay, anyway, I think that Canadian whiskey really gets a bad rap for a number of reasons. I won't go into all the details, but please let the whiskey do the talking for rebranding, right? Sometimes they're shipped in big tankers and then bottled in Korea because blended Scotch whiskey need not be bottled in Scotland. Only single malt whiskey must be blended in Scotland, which is a recent amendment, a recent change to the rule. Weiser's 18-year-old good, very good, yes. Have you tried? No, I have not. I'm in Korea. I have not been able to try any of the latest releases from the last 12 months. So hopefully I'll be able to get a hold of those things perhaps next summer when I'm back home. I might be back home in the winter. I don't know yet. It's a long shot, but we'll see. Thanks for sharing that. What I want to say about Canadian whiskey, especially something like this that's a little bit rye forward, is that it can be a very good palate cleanser in between different malts. So I think that could be something interesting to try. Let's say between a sherried whiskey and say a peated whiskey. Oh, Choski, yes, thank you. Thank you for watching the live feed. He says thanks for watching. Well, all of you know what he's saying anyway. All right, another little taste. And the nice thing with older Canadian whiskey is you can really taste the age. Typically, Canadian whiskey is, let's say, 3 to 8 years old. 12 years old is usually a little bit more expensive, about, say, $10 more than the non-age stated Canadian whiskeys. And then the 18s will run about $70, $80 or so. And there's also 20 and even 30-year-old on occasion. All right. Well, now I want to get into what I really wanted to share with you, and that is the unboxing and unpackaging, uncorking of the Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive. And well, here is the present widely available Yamazaki non-age stated that but is much more widely available than the 12-year-old. So there's that. And this is also very good. And I have another bottle of it right here, a little small bottle on the table there, which I will open. I notice that my table is very unleveled. Adjust that a little bit. There. Hopefully that's a little bit better. All right, going to put that away. This was about 4,500 yen at the distillery, I think. And I looked around in Korea, in Seoul, at a couple of shops yesterday, and it's between 125 and 175,000 won here in Korea. Well, if you're in Korea and you're thinking about Yamazaki, I would highly recommend you look for the miniature 12-year-old. It'll run you 25,000 won, and you can get that at Namdaemun. So this is the Distillery Reserve, it's called. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? Oh boy, what does it say there? Anyway, whatever it's called. Gosh, okay, I'll open it one more time. Anyway, this one is not really available in miniatures, but the 12-year-old is, and I highly recommend for 25,000 won to get yourself a. No, this doesn't even. Okay, this just says Yamazaki Distillery on there, but I think in Korea it'll say something like Distillery Reserve or something of that nature. Anyway, all right, back in the box. Is this good? It's very good. It's quite nice. It's well worth 4,500 yen. In fact, I might even say it's worth double that. But it's definitely not worth triple or quadruple or quintuple the price of that as it is here in Korea. And what I noticed with this one compared to the 12-year-old is that they've ramped up the peat content somewhat. So I would say that it is somewhere around, let's say, 5 ppms. So about double of what you get from, say, a Macallan or a Glenfiddich for peat content. Still very sweet though, still quite a bit of sherry influence there. And I had the chance to taste the sherry component for Yamazaki, which was very, very cool. I really liked it a lot, the sherry cask for Yamazaki. And if you go to the distillery, make sure you stop at the whiskey bar and try the new make Yamazaki. That's also very interesting. Really interesting to know what new make tastes like, because then you can see when you taste a whiskey, you'll recognize some of the youthful flavors and be able to recognize that this is not really mature yet. So that's been a really good experience for me. Then I tried the sherry, and I also tried the Yamazaki 18. There was one more. The Mijunara, the Japanese oak. 100% Japanese oak matured Yamazaki, also really, really nice. And then finally I went to the Hakushu peated, the peated component that goes into Hakushu. Excellent stuff. All right, so let's try. This is the Yamazaki Distillery Reserve. This is the widely available NAS Yamazaki. A little bit more peat than the 12-year-old. Now, it does not taste as young as some other NASs that have cropped up, replacing some of the standard releases of Scotch whiskey. I'd say this is a mix of something like probably 10, 12, maybe 14-year-old from the distillery. All right. It's nice. It's got a bit of peat. It's got a lot of sweet, a good amount of sherry, and a very, very nice long finish. All right, on to the unboxing. So here is the Distillery Exclusive from Yamazaki. And okay, I've got all kinds of things here that I haven't been able to read for a little while. Am I still running? Yep, I'm still running. I'm going to close this for a minute. I'm going to reopen it because I can't see anything that what people are saying or anything at all. And make it big and click on that. There we go. Okay, so this is the the Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive, only available there, only one bottle per person. And again, this is from Yamazaki. It doesn't say Yamazaki on there. Of course, it does in in Chinese actually. That's the Chinese characters for Yamazaki Distillery. I guess it says Yamazaki Chunyuso, I would imagine. Yamazaki Chunyuso, Yamazaki Distillery in. I just poured out a whole bunch of. Okay, that was not good. Didn't hit any electrical stuff, so that's nice. I better put that there. Okay, we're okay. We're going to keep going. Alright, so we're going to get that one opened. Has not been opened yet. You can see the Suntory at the top here. Hard to see yet. Let me tilt that a little bit. Come on, Suntory, can you see it? Oh, there it is. Okay. And at the bottom also it says Suntory Liquor Bottle Japan. And I know that this has a cork on it, so I'm not doing it much service by tilting it upside down here. This is apparently between 8 to 12 years old. It's 40% ABV. Get that off. I see the cork there. Wish it had a nicer cork stopper, but that's okay. And opened. Okay, there we are. Well, how does it smell? Okay, Eric, thanks for watching. Catch you later. All right, so here we go into the Copita. Now, I probably could have sold this little bottle for a couple of $100, I would imagine. Because not many people can get to Japan, and it's only one per person. So, anyway, well, of course for me, I really want to know how it tastes, but also for you, I thought that would be really fun to see what something really, really exotic tastes like from the Yamazaki Distillery. All right, so I'm going to put that right in the front here. Can that be seen? I think so. All right. Well, the color, pretty much a standard gold. Almost a paler gold than you would get, let's say, from India or wherever. So on the paler end of gold. And viscosity-wise, fairly quick legs. Now this is 40% ABV, so that will be one factor in its brisk legs. Although interestingly, even though it's 40%, you still get a fair bit of beading on the glass, which, well, I like to think that tells me that it hasn't been completely depleted of all of its juicy bits. Okay, anyway, interesting. All right, let's check out the nose on this baby. And again, if you're just tuning in, I have just opened the Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive, one per person. I visited the distillery last week. I took the tour. I went on the tasting. And then I picked up the only bottle I could at the distillery whiskey shop, gift shop. You know what? Before I try that, I want to have one more sip of this Highball. This is the Fuji Sanroku Kiri Whiskey Fuji Sanroku Highball. Even though it's diluted, it's still very refreshing. And if you have never been If you've never watched Whiskey Whistle before, please do subscribe. There should be a little link to click, I think right over here. Can you see that little red thingy right there? Give that a click and you'll subscribe to the channel. Okay, on to the nose for the Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive. That's this one right here. Candy, and yet also this little hint of peat there. It's much more candied than the 12-year-old I tasted and reviewed about a year and some ago, I think. And it's got a much more candied nose than the Distillery Reserve, the commonly available, widely available NAS version of Yamazaki that's everywhere. For something that's 40%, it's really, really potent. You know, a lot of people complain about whiskey being 40%, but let's be happy that it's 40, because here in Korea, there's things that call themselves whiskey that are put out at as low as 35%. Likewise, in Japan, I've seen some things listed as whiskey. Is it called whiskey? Yep. At 37%. And if the price is okay, for example, I'll show you this one. I know I'm always doing a little bit of digressing here, but all right. So here is the Nika Black, and it's 37% ABV. But unlike here in Korea, this little bottle would be, boy, dollars, and a full bottle would be about $10. And it's perfect for making highballs, which is what pretty much every bar in Osaka was using to make their highballs. Smooth, peatless whiskey with a delightful aroma and light finish. There you go. So it says whiskey right on there. Okay. I think I just bumped the camera a little bit. All right, back to the task at hand. Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive. Nice light gold color. Candy, especially hard candies, hint of peat there, and I dare say a little bit of Sprite. So there's a lemon liminess to it. And Julian, hi, thanks for joining. An impromptu live show here, Whiskey Whistle Live. We're testing out the Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive. I just opened it. This is the first glass from the bottle. It's 40% ABV, and I'm going to compare that with the widely available Yamazaki Distillery Reserve, which is pretty much everywhere around the world. All right, sorry about the noise. So candy, hint of peat on the nose, a little bit of lemon lime, kind of like Sprite. And definitely some forest trees, not necessarily pine, but, well, having been able to try the Mizunara cask only, the fully matured Mizunara Yamazaki, I can tell you that you get that Mizunara effect coming through here as well. All right, on to the palate. Cheers, everyone. This is amazing. A little bit less peat than the Distillery Reserve that you find now, the NAS Yamazaki. More Mizunara and a little bit more sherry also. Really sweet finish. Very long finish. It's very oily on the palate. This is a top grade whiskey. Of course, it's not really NAS. Well, it is NAS because they don't say the age, but this would be likely a single cask, number 337174. Okay, that's the cask number, I believe. I should have looked up the information online. I didn't. That's my typical bad habit. Now, I was told it was 8 to 12 years old. It's probably right around 10. But it's just got this big, juicy candy sweetness. And some nice, slightly underripe fruits coming through. So just slightly tart apples, slightly tart pears, but still very sweet when you eat them. Wonderfully balanced on the palate. A good mixed bag of everything. Hint of peat. Although very big, the big Mizunara effect here. You know what? So no, you know what? Maybe that actually cannot be a single cask. Boy, I don't know. If it's a single cask, then it is a Mizunara cask. That would be my guess. If this happens to be a vatted blend, like pretty much all whiskeys are, right, except for the single casks, then I would say that it is about 30-40% Mizunara and 20 to 30 sherry, 20 to 30 ex-bourbon, and then a little bit of the peated Yamazaki. You get that burst of peat, especially when you're tasting it at the very front. Whoa, just amazing. Okay, so now I'm going to compare the Yamazaki Distillery Reserve. That's this one right here. And that is, I've taken the bottle off of the... Okay, there's the Yamazaki Distillery Reserve. 43% ABV. And then I'll put the box. Here is the Distillery Exclusive, 1 bottle per person. Right next to it, right there. Okay. So, well, that's not the right order then, is it? Nope. Okay, we'll switch them. There we go. Oh, look at the light shining on that. Can't see that at all. Okay. So, we have the Yamazaki Distillery Reserve over here on my right, and the Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive 40% over here on my left. Yeah, much more ramped up peat. Really zippy at the front of the palate. Very peat forward. And quite a bit of peat also coming through even in the finish, along with a very excellent, sweet, Mizunara influenced, fruity kind of a style with a little bit of sherry. Okay, now I need to clear my palate with a little bit of Canadian whiskey. All right. Now let's get back to the Yamazaki Distillery Exclusive, which is this one right here. All right. The chat room has gone silent. Oh well. Here we go. Lower ABV, but so much better balanced. And a much more fragrant nose. And I really think that's just the increase of Mizunara, whether that's actually a fully matured Mizunara, lightly peated malt, new make, or whether that's a blend of a high percentage of Mizunara oak, along with a good amount of sherry and let's call it a standard amount of peated malt. Now, this reminds me a little bit of the Macallan Whiskey Makers edition to some degree. And this one reminds me quite a lot of Glenmorangie, the original Sinalta, not the Sinalta PX, or the what's it called? The sherry matured, not Quinta Ruban, not Nectar d'Or, but what's it called? Shit. Yes, something kind of like that. Maybe even a little bit like the Milchan or the present year Bacalta. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Now, coming up very soon, I have just a whole breadth of whiskeys coming up. Both ones that I've had that I just have not had a chance to do a review of yet, and also some things that I brought back with me from Japan, including some things that are not whiskey, like this Hennessy XO. So that review will be coming in the very near future. And I also have the remainder of the collection of whiskeys that Val Bradshaw sent to me. She's a Canadian sommelier, and we'll call her a personality who appears on TV, on radio, talking about whiskey and also about cigars, mainly. Anyway, so that'll come up, Hennessy XO. Very excited about that. And some other Japanese whiskeys, like the one I've got right over here, the Fuji Sanroku. And some other things I brought back from Japan, so stay tuned for those. Thank you for watching today. Really appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe. You can click the link right over here, and why not share this on your Facebook, or on your Twitter, or even on Instagram. Take a screenshot and let people know that you're watching Whiskey Whistle and you want them to watch too. Okay. Thanks again. Don't forget to tell all your friends, and stay tuned because there's a lot more to come. All right? Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching. Take care.
and finish. End.